are super excited to have Mirryn here with Ganached Brownies. Thank you for your time, willing to come and speak. Thank you all for being here. It's always a fun event to have successful business owners come in and talk about their experiences, getting started, challenges they've been through, things they've learned along the way. For me, that's one of the best ways that I learn things, and listening to other things other businesses have gone through, and not having to go through that myself. So to start off, we don't do like a formal introduction or read a bio or anything.
Okay.
So do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe a little bit about how you grew up, ended up in Cedar City, and just a little bit of your background?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Las Vegas. I was born there and raised there, and I didn't come to Cedar City until college. So I just came 17 years old, ready to go to SUU. But yeah, I kind of feel like I always knew I'd end up where I am. But I had an awesome childhood. I honestly loved growing up in Vegas. But I've loved Cedar ever since. I moved here, went to school for a little bit, actually left and served a mission, came back, and then my husband and I got married, and we just were like, let's stick around for a little while. And so we've been here for almost 10 years now. So.
Awesome. And what was your degree in at SUU?
Oh, my degree was in general studies, but I'm pretty sure I was in almost every program at SUU at one point. I first came to SUU on a piano performance scholarship. I was a pianist all growing up, and so I came here for the music program. And then when I got here, I was like, you know what, I think I'm going to double major in pre-med. So I did that, and then when I came back from my mission, I was like, okay, maybe not med school, maybe let's just do nursing. So I like dropped all the med stuff, dropped all the nursing, dropped all the music, and then I was just like working to get into the nursing program. And then I got in, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about this later, but while I was in my gap semester applying for the nursing program, I started my first company. And then I was like, oh, I actually really, really like business. So when I went back to school, to nursing school, I was like, I think I like business more. So I actually dropped out of the nursing program at SUU and enrolled in the business program. And then I finished my last few semesters at SUU in the business program. And then I just graduated in general studies because I had been in school for a million years at that point. And and I had way too many credits. So I graduated in general studies with like a couple business minors. So.
Cool. So, do you feel like you always had a little bit of like entrepreneurial spirit, or you completely found that once you were here in school?
No, I feel like I always have had it. My dad owns his own company. And so even though I probably won't ever do the same thing as him, I feel like just growing up in that environment, having someone own a business that you're so close to, I just felt like, oh, I kind of want this for myself. And then when I turned 14, I started teaching piano lessons and like built up this little piano lesson business. And then that's how I came to college, like not completely poor. And so that was like business number one. And then I feel like there's just been several ever since. But
okay. So your very first one was as a teenager doing piano lessons. That was kind of your first business experience?
Yep.
Okay. And then when you took your gap year, you started another business. That was more like your first official business?
My first real one.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about that one, how you came up with the idea, how you got it started.
So when my husband and I first got married, my husband's over here, by the way, Brandon. When we first got married, he's Brandon now, so I'm not saying my husband anymore. You guys got to remember. When we when we first got married, you get like cash from people at your wedding. And so we took all of our wedding cash and we were like, okay, we're going to save it. We're going to save all of it, except we're each going to choose like kind of a nice present to buy for like ourselves that we wanted. And so he bought like a new stereo system for our truck, and I bought a Cricut cutting machine because I was like, I'm going to start a little wooden sign business. Like, I mean, you guys have all seen them, like Live, Laugh, Love, whatever, I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go full Pinterest and I'm going to start this sign business. And so I just played around with my Cricut forever. And then I had actually one of Brandon's coworkers had approached him saying like, hey, my wife owns a custom sugar cookie business. Could you ask your wife if she can make my wife a stencil for it was Dixie State back then, because she has an order from Dixie State and she doesn't want to have to do it all by hand every single time, the Dixie State logo. So I was like, you know what, let me try to tackle it. So I make her this stencil on my Cricut, and she's like, you know, this custom sugar cookie business is like booming. Tons of people are joining it, and she's like, you should start a business selling these stencils because yours worked really good for me. And I'm like, say less, I will do it. And so I had nothing to do with the sugar cookie business. I didn't make sugar cookies to this day. I still don't make sugar cookies. But I was like, you think I should start this business? I'm just gonna do it. It was right around when COVID was all happening. And so I worked for SUU, but I ended up working from home for SUU. And so I was like, I need something to fill my time, so I'm not just sitting at my computer all day and then doing nothing all night. And so I just started a little tiny Etsy shop with just a couple listings, and that's how the first business started. And then I basically did it all summer and then all fall during my gap semester, which was the fall semester. And then by the time school came around again, it was not so little anymore, and I was like, let's go all in on this business. So, and that's More Decor is that business.
Cool. And then, so what was the growth with that like? I think a lot of times people are like, oh, I can have this business that's all online, so your overhead's low, you don't have a storefront and things, and you have the internet to sell to, so you have a huge market to reach a lot of people, but it's oftentimes a lot more difficult than people anticipate to convert and actually start getting sales from it. So can you talk a little bit about how you started finding success through that online?
Yeah, so honestly, when I started, I was working for SUU, and I also worked in healthcare because I was in the nursing program. So I was working just as a nurse's aide down in St. George. And so between those two jobs, I was working like 70 hours a week. So I'm like, we're gonna choose Etsy because I don't have time to be like shaking my hips in front of the camera, making TikToks and like reels and all the things that people were doing to promote their businesses. And I was like, I just can't do that. So I started on Etsy, and then I think sometimes people think like, oh, it was probably overnight success, like, or you probably did so good from day one, but like, it's just not like that. It's not quite so glamorous. And so those first few months, I was only making a couple $100 max, and it wasn't until, so 4 months in, I kind of had to make a decision, like, do I want to take this seriously, or do I want to continue on the path I'm going with like schooling and my career? And I will be so honest, I was nowhere even close to replacing my income yet from like the jobs I was working. But I just felt like I could. I'm like, if I quit my jobs and I focus on this, like I can. I'll be able to replace the income, and this business can grow. Like I just know it. And so I honestly feel like that decision to finally just let go of everything else and focus on that one thing is what really started like the true growth and success of that company. And so I think a lot of times like people think, oh, I'm doing something every day, how come I'm not successful? But the reality is like I think we just try to keep too many other things going in our lives in the background, and it takes focus and consistency. And so I feel like it was once I finally made that decision and just dropped everything else and hit that really hard for a while, that's when things like really started picking up and growing.
Okay. And where were you finding the most success, like organically through social media or through paid ads, or what were you doing to advertise and reach your potential customers?
Yeah, so believe it or not, I actually haven't done a ton of social media marketing for that company even to this day, and we're 5.5 years in. And I just haven't done a ton. So if anyone says that you have to do social media to run your own business, like it's a lie. You do not have to do it. It definitely is helpful. And I wish I would have started a little bit more earlier on, but I didn't, and it was okay. So what I did, I started on Etsy, and then I actually took like the PR route. So I found a bunch of custom sugar cookie decorators just all around the country, and I just personally reached out to them. I probably annoyed the whole industry. I just was messaging everybody saying, hey, can I send you a package? Like, can I send you like my link and you can order for 80% off? Like it's 2 cents each if you order through this link. And so that's how I chose to really get the word out about More Decor, was I just used people who already had built big followings and who already were in my industry. And I'm so glad I did that. I would recommend it to anybody to go that route if you can, if your business like works like that. But yeah, I would do it again if I could go back, because that was the most successful thing for me. I didn't run any paid ads until this year for More Decor. And so I just did the PR tactic and then a little bit of social media. But then as I got customers, I just added them onto an email list. And I grew my email list more and more and more. And obviously, like I said, 5.5 years in, but now there's thousands and thousands of people on there. And so email marketing was another huge one that I did, that I feel like a lot of people forget about and don't do. But email marketing is the best.
Yeah. So I'm assuming you were pretty confident in your product then, that you had a good product, that you're willing to basically give it away for free, and that they would be coming back for it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. In those early days, I can't believe how extra I was, you guys. I would make the stencil, I'd make it first out of paper, and then I'd take it into the garage or out onto the street, and I would literally spray paint it on like a rock or something to make sure that exactly what stenciled was like exactly what it needed to be. And then I would go cut it and make the real thing. And then I was just so particular about how everything was. Everything had to be so perfect. But yeah, I was extra in the beginning. I was sending them a good product for sure.
Yeah. So you but the confidence is kind of what
Oh,
led you
yeah.
to take that risk a little bit.
Yeah.
Free product, or basically free product.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So you mentioned, like, sometimes we can often spread ourselves a little too thin, and then we don't have the time to nurture the business. I see that a lot. I've done that with my own businesses. How do you, obviously you ended up starting Ganached, so how did you end up deciding to start Ganached, and did it worry you, like, then your focus is going to be split between now running these two different businesses? And what was your thought process, how you came up with the idea to start Ganached and getting that going?
Okay, so yes, I'm literally gonna go against my own advice here and tell you that I just started I started a second business when I had one that was doing really good. Honestly, it just came down to desire, truly. Like, I just didn't have the same desire for More Decor, my first company, as I did for the idea of Ganached. And the cool thing about Ganached was it was a bigger challenge for me. I felt like I know what I'm doing because I have this really successful e-commerce business. So like, let's tackle brick and mortar. Let's try something new, which, by the way, I was humbled. But I think like it was challenging to me, and it was enticing because I wanted to push myself. And so when we finally decided to open Ganached, I guess I have to give a little bit of backstory. So I own Ganached with my mom, actually. So if you guys like the brownies, it's not my recipe. It's my mom's. She's amazing. But we had talked about it for years. So Ganached had been in the making for like a long time. She always wanted to open a bakery, and once I felt really comfortable with More Decor, I was like, you know what? I think I'm ready for some new business challenges. Let's do something new. So we found the building that we're in, and that was part of the reason why we pulled the trigger when we did, because we loved the building. We're inside the historic theater on Main Street, if any of you guys don't know where we are. But we found that building. I walked through it. I loved it. I'm like, this is the place. We're gonna do it here. And so that was a big factor in like why we started it when we did, because of the building. And so it was available. We loved it. We wanted to go in on it, and it had been years that we'd been talking about it. So once we found it, honestly, that was kind of all we needed to say, okay, let's just go all in and do it. The other nice thing is, by the time we started to open Ganached and get things going there, Brandon had quit his job. He was working for an electrical company, but he had quit and was working with me now for More Decor. And so I had extra help there, and then we were starting to grow our team there a little bit more. So I felt like, okay, I actually can step away and start doing something else and try to grow something new.
Yeah. And so you started it with your mom. Was your mom still living in Vegas, or?
Yes, my mom still lives in Vegas to this day, actually. So she was here quite a bit in the beginning, especially as we like built out Ganached. But yeah, now for the most part, she's just in Vegas. She just comes up every once in a while. It's awesome.
Cool. So why Cedar City? So Wallet Hub is recently named Cedar City. Well, they've been in the top 3 the last couple of years for small cities to start a business in. But why did you choose? You could start a business anywhere in the world, More Decor. You could run from anywhere.
Yeah.
And then a storefront. Why did you choose Cedar City over Vegas or any other city that you could move to and start a business?
Yeah, that's a good question. I honestly feel like it is really true. Like, this is one of the best places to start a business. because when I started More Decor, I had to go through the whole legal process and everything that is required with starting a business. And I honestly feel like I felt comfortable with that here. And so we did talk about the idea of opening one in Vegas from the very beginning. My mom was there. She knew how to make the brownies. I didn't know how to make the brownies. So it made sense that it would be close to her. But honestly, I felt comfortable. I'm like, I know how to start an LLC in Utah. I know how to file my taxes in Utah, which sound like such silly things now that it's like, oh my gosh, those are the smallest little things on my to-do now. But at that time, I was like, I know Utah. Like, I can do Utah. And we were here, and I'm really good at what I do, and I can never do what my mom does. And she's like, she can never do what I do, and she's pro at her job. And so it just made more sense to have it here, where I could like help run the day-to-day of the business, and she could do like the recipe creation, the sourcing, all the parts of her job from anywhere.
Okay, cool. I don't know, I'm always curious with different names of businesses where the name of it came from. Can you talk a little bit about that, how you came up with the name?
Yes, so I'm actually pretty sure Brandon came up with the name. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty positive it was Brandon. So the business is called Ganached, and the reason why it's called Ganached is because everything we sell at Ganached, all of our brownies, have a base layer, a filling in the middle, and then they have a ganache on top. So either semi-sweet ganache, white chocolate ganache, or milk chocolate ganache. And so we kind of turned it into a verb. So everything has been ganached, if that makes sense. Like it has had ganached added to it. So I know SEO like hates me because ganache is not a word. And you can't really look it up and everyone forgets the dash, but we love it. And honestly, it really is what our product is. Everything is ganache. Our caramel apples are drizzled in ganache. Our ice cream that we make has ganache in it. So everything is just ganache. It's the best. And if you don't know what ganache is, it's basically just like a creamy chocolate sauce.
That's really, I did not know the answers, so that's why I still
Yep.
don't know the name. So yeah, a lot of these questions I actually don't know the answers to. I'm learning as we go too. So, so oftentimes in business, like everybody sees your businesses as a success now. You talked about how a lot of times people assume it's overnight success when it takes oftentimes years of building and not paying yourself before it becomes really successful. Can you speak to some of the challenges and things that you've been through with your businesses?
Yes. So specifically with Ganached, when we opened, I think I got a little too confident, and I was definitely riding the high of like being the new business in town, and everybody wanted to come, and it was so awesome, and I didn't have to do any marketing, and people just showed up, and I thought it was great. And it only lasted for so long that way, which, I mean, there are people who have been coming since the beginning, so I don't want to forget about them. But I think I really was riding the high of like being new, and so everybody had to come and try it. And so I didn't put as much effort as I should have in those beginning days. I mean, I was putting in effort, but in the wrong places. Because the reality is I should have been trying to promote the business more, share the business with more people. I mean, there's still so many people who don't even know Ganached exists in Cedar City. And so I should have been doing that more from day one, because my high of being new definitely started to run out around like the 1 year mark. And so things got rough. Like we went through the trenches, y'all. And I feel like nobody ever wants to talk about this part of business because it's just so painful and so sucky. But we got to about a year. Our second winter, there was no snow. So this was winter of 2023. Yeah, 2023. So if you guys remember, it was a very, very, very mild winter. Brian had got almost no snow. There was like no skiing happening. The winter tourism that was normally here was not here. And we actually weren't the only ones struggling this season, like in our area and in our industry here. But it was rough because I had not prepared for this. I just assumed, oh, well, this is how last November went. This is how this November will go. So this is how last December was. I can expect the same thing for this December, but it's just not true. And so things got tough. They got slow, and I was so stubborn, and I was like, I'm not gonna let anyone go. We're keeping our whole staff. Like, it was just really hard. I didn't know what to do in that time. And so honestly, my mom and I just started paying the payroll like out of our personal savings because we're like, I don't want to let anyone go. Like, we'll get through this. I know we will. But it was rough. It was a dark, dark time. And there were so many times when we just kept asking ourselves, like, do we want to keep doing this? Is it really going to get better? Like, at what point do we say we're done, you know? And I feel like nobody ever wants to admit it, but everybody has those thoughts and has to ask themselves that at some point. And so, yeah, it was really, really hard. My husband and I went on a trip to Brazil in the fall of 2023, and I just remember we got there. It was like the first night that we got there, and I basically just unloaded on him like all night long, and was like, I don't know what to do about Ganached. Like, it's killing me. And ironically, we were on vacation, but like, I don't know how much longer we can keep pouring our savings into this company. And at this point now, it was like, okay, we need to double down, and like all of our efforts were going toward Ganached. Poor little more decor was just hanging on its own. It'd kind of been forgotten about. And so honestly, I think the hardest part is just deciding like, what do we do? Like, what do we focus on? How do we get out of this? But somebody told me a couple years ago, like, the businesses that make it in the end are just the ones that keep showing up. Like, just don't stop showing up and you will be successful. And so I remember telling my mom that, like, we just have to stick it out. Like, it really will get better. We're doing everything we can. And like, as cheesy as it sounds, like at the end of the day, it was just faith. Like, faith that everything that we were doing would pay off. And then it did, which I guess I can expound on the how if you want, but but it was tough. So
like, did you identify like specific tasks?
Yeah.
Ways we can bring in more revenue or reach more tourists, that few tourists that
Yeah.
are coming during that season?
Yeah, so our location is like a blessing and a curse. So we're right on Main Street, but you can only get to Ganached from Main Street. So a lot of those businesses have a backdoor entrance, but we don't. And so it's awesome because we get foot traffic from Main Street that we wouldn't normally get. But if you've ever driven down Main Street in the winter after a snowstorm, you can't really get in anywhere from Main Street because there's nowhere to park because all the snow is in a huge hill on the sidewalk / the curb. And so we just started realizing, like, man, every time it snows, literally no one comes to Ganached. Like, they just can't even get to Ganached. It's just so awful. And so that's kind of what got us starting to think about, like, okay, how can we get our product to our customers if they can't come to the store? And basically that was like what started it all. And so we got on DoorDash. We're like, okay, we're gonna get it on DoorDash so that we can start delivering. And then once we got on DoorDash, it was like, okay, now we have a second form of income. It's almost like a second store. And so then I was like, okay, how can we make more and more and more streams of income for the company? And so that was then my focus. From that point on, honestly, until today, it's just been like, okay, how can we create more and more and more streams of income for the company? And so we started shipping in the winters. So we ship nationwide from November to March. And then we started participating in a lot more events. We partnered with SUU. So now we're at all the SUU athletic events. And that's been awesome for us. And then we really hit our catering hard. So basically just creating all of these streams of income that could benefit the business was the result of like those dark, dark times that we went through. So honestly, as horrible as it was such a blessing because I don't think we would have pushed ourselves to create so many different avenues for Ganached if we hadn't gone through as rough of a time as we did.
Yeah, no, I love that. I feel like we've all probably heard that a ton, that, you know, every time there's a challenge, you can turn that challenge into an opportunity. And so I think that's a great example. It's creating a problem for your business so that you found an opportunity to make your business more successful from it. I'm curious, so you just ship during the winters, basically. Would you ever consider going into the summers, or is it too hot that it is melting the brownies?
Yeah, so we've tested shipping year round. We just haven't found a way that keeps it from melting, honestly, in the summers. We're gonna try to get away with it this summer to just keep it going after the end of this March. But yeah, it's just gonna take different packaging, and we haven't shipped to the volume that we want to invest in bulk packaging that we could ship in the summers. So that's been the hardest thing, but they ship great in the winters. Honestly, nationwide, even to Arizona, California, in the winter, it's fine. It's just once it gets to be like 100 degrees and it's sitting on someone's porch in a box baking. So that's been the hardest thing about summer. But yeah, we're excited. We have a huge goal. We actually want to ship 5,000 boxes of brownies this winter. So we'll see if we do it. And then if we do, we have to find a way to keep it going after the summer. I've already decided.
So that kind of leads in, and maybe that's already part of the answer, but I usually like to ask business owners, so most businesses feel a need to always be changing, adapting, pivoting, however you want to word it, to keep up with changing times or finding new opportunities, things like that. Do you feel that with Ganached, and are there other ways that you feel like you've been pivoting and changing to either keep up with times, to keep up with customer demands?
I would say yes and no. So with more decor, that was a big yes, 100% yes. Like I felt like I was constantly having to reinvent myself to like be trendy and be able to please the customers year after year after year. But with Ganached, what's been interesting is from the very beginning, we decided we know what we do well, which is brownies, ice cream, and caramel apples. Like that is all we're going to do is that. We're not going to get into cake pops. We're not going to sell macarons. We're not going to sell any of these other desserts because we know what we do best. And so we have kind of tried to stay trendy with our flavors, but as far as like what Ganached is selling and what we're doing, we're going to stick with what we know. I honestly recommend every business do this. I've seen so many businesses fail because instead of addressing their real problems, they just start adding things like, oh, I'm going to start doing this now too, or add this service, or include this product. And then things just get so messy and there's too much to manage. And so I feel like in terms of our product, we've been really strict about like, no, we're not going to adapt. We're not going to try to make new trendy treats. And there's always something coming up in the dessert world of like a new trendy thing. Right now it's like those fruit things that like looks like real fruit, but it's like jelly inside. I don't know if you guys have seen it. But there's always something new and trendy, and we're like, no, we're not going to change. We're going to do what we do best. But I think in terms of our marketing, yes. So when we first opened, we didn't do a ton of social media marketing either. Our social media has been like more fun. If you follow us on social media, you know our reels are mostly just jokes, and we're not doing a ton of like hard selling on our Instagram or anything like that. But as the platforms have changed and the algorithms has changed, like now this winter, we're really going to focus on TikTok. And so in a way, yes, like with our strategies, I feel like we've changed as things have evolved and become better. But with the products, no, we don't want to feel like we constantly have to reinvent and do something new. We'll pretty much always probably sell brownies. Brownies and caramel apples.
Awesome. So I think most entrepreneurs, small business owners kind of struggle with the idea of when do I hire employees, and you probably never feel ready, but then you feel overwhelmed with work, or a lot of times it's hard to trust other people to pass things off to other people. But with a storefront, you're forced to do that a little bit sooner. Can you just speak to that process a little bit of timing of hire employees and managing, I was going to say dealing with that. Employees can be like,
hey, that's a good word.
But yeah, it also comes with a lot of challenges. So
yeah.
Speak to that some a little bit.
No, it does. This is where I was really grateful that I did have another company before this, because I put off hiring in my first company for years. And when I finally hired my first employee, I was like, I should have done this forever ago. Like, my life is so much better now that I have her. And so I actually told my mom from very day one of Ganached, I'm like, we are not working in this store. Like, we are hiring this out 100% from the very beginning. And of course, did we end up working every now and then? Yes. Like, even still to this day, every now and then I'm in the store. But I think it just goes back to like, we knew what we did best. So I'm like, I can run this business from like the business standpoint, and she does all the recipes. She does all of our sourcing, which is a big job. And I'm like, we know what we're good at. We need to make sure that we protect that at all costs. Like, we need to be able to put our energy where it's best going to help the company grow. So if that means we hire out every other task that needs to be done, we're going to do it, and trust that if someone else is doing tasks A, B, and C, that's freeing us up for tasks X, Y, and Z. And in the end, that's going to make the company grow more than any other way that we could do it. But I'm team hire, always hire. If you even feel a little bit like you need to hire, just hire because it's the best. And then having help, like you just feel supported. It's awesome, you guys.
What do you have like a process you go through, or any advice on how to hire the right people where you can really trust them with that and make sure that it's more of a relief for you rather than more of a headache for you?
Yeah, you guys, hiring is tough. I'm not even gonna lie. It's so hard. I feel like job interviews are almost just like this fake thing. So I'm like, how can you really know the kind of worker someone is from one job interview? And sometimes the vibes are just there and you just know, you feel it in your gut that it's gonna work out. But honestly, so we just go through a pretty traditional hiring process in the beginning. We just collect resumes, we'll go through them. Again, the resume, like, I feel like it's kind of a joke, you guys. Like, everybody's using AI for their resumes now. I can see it, I can read right through it, literally. But we just go through the process of resumes, and basically, we just ask people to come in and meet with us, and instead of asking all the typical job interview questions, our job interview is typically, we will explain, here's a little bit about our company. Like, we just want to tell you about the company, you know? And then we'll just ask them, like, now that you know, like, truly tell us, do you want to be here? Like, and why do you want to be here? And we basically explain the whole structure and everything right off the bat. One thing that we do in our company that I love is every time we hire someone, from the very first day they start working, we set up a 90-day performance review for every employee. And after 90 days, they can get their first raise. And then when they have that review, 6 months later, they'll have another one, and they'll just have one every 6 months. It's on the calendar. Because I just feel like I worked jobs in the past where I feel like I got hired and then just forgotten about. Like, no one ever checked in on me. I never got a raise. I never had anyone ask me how things were going. And I was like, that is the last thing that we want. And so I feel like that's given us the opportunity to, like, get on our employees' levels within the first 90 days and say, how's work going? Like, are things okay? And if we think that things need to be improved, then that's when we talk to them and say, hey, you need to improve. Maybe we have to do a follow-up interview. Otherwise, like, you'll have another one of these in 6 months. And basically, here's all the opportunities available to you. You just have to take advantage of them, honestly. And so I feel like that's helped us to, I don't want to say weed out people, but the ones that are serious about it have stuck around, and then the ones who are like, this just isn't for me, they've honestly naturally weeded themselves out, like, majority of the time. And I don't think I'm that strict of a boss, but I think my employees think I'm really strict of a boss just because I have fired quite a few people from Ganached, but only when they don't do their jobs. Like, I don't know. I sound really mean saying that, but the reality is, like, I think I'm just kind of strict at the end of the day of just, if you come, you sign this contract that you're going to be a good employee, but then you show up and you're just watching Netflix with your headphones in, see you later. Like, I'm going to let you go, and I don't really feel bad about that, because if this isn't important to you, see you later. Go find somewhere else. And I don't really feel bad about that, which sounds really, really mean. But at the same time, I feel like the opposite is also true. The ones who have let us know that, like, this job does mean a lot to them and they have taken it seriously, like, we do everything that we can to reward that and to just help make their work environment the best thing that it can be. And so I feel like we're pretty extreme, but on both ends, if that makes sense. So that's helped us to, like, my team's awesome. They're the best, you guys. But, like, I think it's because of that. Like, they just kind of know where I stand, that, like, I'm serious. I mean business. You want this job, you show up and you got to work. And if you don't want to, then just don't come back. And if you do want to, then we'll reward that and we'll work with you, and life's going to be awesome. But.
So that probably helps a lot with retention and motivation of the ones that you want to retain.
Yes. Yeah. No, we have people working at Ganached right now who have been there since the day we opened Ganached.
Wow. That's impressive. Yeah.
It's awesome. And they're amazing. Like, I love them. So.
That's great. So what year was it that you started? You said it was 2021 when you started?
We opened in 2022.
2022.
Yeah.
Okay. So you probably, and I know you said your mom does a lot of, like, the sourcing and things. So you probably avoided a lot of the challenges when a lot of products were hard to get after COVID 2020,
Yes.
2021. But now over the last couple of years, you've had to deal with inflation. How have you navigated that? I'm assuming you've probably had to raise your prices because all the supplies have gone up. Have your customers given backlash with navigate? I know that's something every business has had trouble navigating the right way to do that.
Yeah.
What's been your approach?
So we actually have never risen our prices the whole time we have been open. I wish I could say we never will, but I know eventually we'll have to. But it's been interesting because some things, like we were using them in the beginning and we cannot even get them anymore. They don't exist anymore. Like sourcing is a huge mess. I'm so thankful that I don't do the sourcing. But at the same time, the bigger that we have gotten and the more that we've grown, now we're purchasing like more in bulk. So in a way, it's kind of fighting inflation just a little bit. I'll tell you what killed us the most was the egg shortage, you guys. You all know. Half of us probably have chickens now because of the egg shortage. Like, I have chickens now. Not for Ganached, for myself. But that was what killed us the most, honestly. And so that was really the only time that we were like, do we need to raise our prices? Like, it's like $40 for a box of eggs right now. Like, this is insane. But other than that, no, like I feel like we've been really lucky, and as we've grown, like our natural growth has allowed us to like get better pricing on certain things, and some things have gone up, but other things have gone way down. And so we've been able to protect our sweet spot pricing for now. But I also think when we first opened, we definitely didn't want to come across as, I don't want you guys to take this the wrong way, but a cheap place, because our product is high quality, in my opinion. It is not just, it's not like a Hostess donut. It's just not. And so we're like, we're gonna price this accordingly because we want the customer experience to be way above that of McDonald's drive-thru ice cream cone. And so we spent a lot of time like really thinking about our pricing in the beginning. And that's not to say like, oh, well now we're a cheap bakery because inflation has happened. But I feel like that also helped to like protect us a little bit. We had a little bit of a buffer, and we'll see how long we can hang on to that. Like I said, it's gonna happen one day. I know it will, but as of right now, it's been really good. And we used to outsource our ice cream. If you guys have been to the store, you probably know this. We used to get ice cream from a small business up in Provo, and it was very expensive, very, very, very expensive. And now we make our own, and what's funny is that I feel like we have felt like we can totally splurge and make these extravagant, crazy, delicious flavors because we were already paying a huge amount of money for ice cream. But like where we have a little bit of savings there, like things have gone up in other areas, but it's kind of all balanced out, honestly. Like we've been so blessed with that.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up because I think oftentimes when starting a business, people tend to set their prices too low and undervalue themselves.
Do not underprice.
Yeah.
I'm anti-underprice.
Yeah, just because you think people just see the dollar sign, but if you realize we're bringing more value, whether it's customer service or a better quality product or whatever it might be, making sure that you value it.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot more that goes into it than people think. Our team trainings are a big one. Like if you walk into Ganached, if this doesn't happen, you guys better be giving me a call. But when you walk into Ganached, like someone will come right up to you and greet you and say, welcome to Ganached, how's your day going? Like they'll talk to you, they'll ask you what you got going on that day, like your weekend, like, and it's not fake. Like my team really does care about you guys, which is so awesome. I just had a performance review with an employee this morning, and he's just like, honestly, that's one of my favorite parts of the job. Like I genuinely love talking to every person that comes in the door. Like I love hearing about their day and just how things are going. But I think that's a big part of our company is just creating a customer experience that matches the product that we're selling, and also like only selling our product in a place that makes sense. I don't know how to describe this. We sell through like the Utah Shakespeare Festival. If you guys have been there, they sell our brownies. But like I'm not gonna go sell them in a gas station because that doesn't fit the vision that I have for my product. So if that makes sense. But we're just, yes, like I'm just trying to protect my brand. But it's more complicated than people think. It's not just the price, it's the whole experience, like the way the store looks, the feel, the atmosphere, is everything, so.
Yeah. I think just another thing I thought of when you were talking about the ice cream, I think you got some funding from the Iron County Small Business Grant to help with that, right? So I think that's another thing you've done really well is making connections locally, and then also we talked about Cedar City being one of the best places to start a small business in the whole United States. It's been ranked in the top 3 the last couple of years, and I think we're really resources available, and some grant funding that it's not the largest dollar amounts, but it helps when you need a new piece of equipment that'll come in and cover half of that.
No, for sure. Yeah, I just wish everyone knew about everything that was out there, truly. I mean, Jeremy will tell you guys, I just barely did my official tour of this building, a few weeks ago? A month ago, maybe? But the crazy thing is, like, I think most people just don't even know that this kind of stuff exists, and it does, and it's awesome. And I don't know if this is a girl thing. Girls, you can tell me. I feel like we kind of have this attitude of, like, I need to do it myself. Like, I can't have help. Like, if I have help, then it means I didn't work hard enough. I don't deserve success. But it's a lie. Like, take advantage of what's around you and use it to your benefit. Like, Mikhail's about to hate me. He's about to, like, start getting scared when he sees my emails because I'm going to have him do so much stuff for me. I'm just kidding. But, like, the reality is take advantage of it because and I guess you could probably tell me if this is wrong, but, like, the reason why places like this can exist is because people use them. If no one uses them, then funding doesn't come and things like this can't be here. And so the reality is, like, if it's here, use it as much as you possibly can because it's a blessing. It really is. I can contribute a lot of our success to grants, just local mentors, places like this that have totally helped us to get to where we are.
Yeah, the reason, it helps businesses get going, be successful, just contributing to a healthy local economy. And so, it's all, I think a lot of times people are like, well, what's the catch or what am I missing here? But
even I felt that here. I'm like, wait, what? Free?
So, I'm glad you've taken advantage of that and use it because now, like, your business is more successful, so your business is paying more in taxes, you're able to hire employees, and, you're retaining employees, so it's creating local jobs. Like, it's investing in the community, and it creates a better community, a healthier economy.
Yeah.
So, it's great. What would you say are, and you've probably talked about some of them already with some of the things that you're doing with your business, but if you had to choose one or two things that you would say are some of the keys to your success, what would you say those are?
I definitely think diversifying our income streams is a huge one because it's kind of a roller coaster with every single one. And so while one's down in the valley, another one's up high on the mountain, and, like, it really does just help you keep going. So I think making the decision to do that, and it is a lot of work in the beginning, but once you can establish streams of income, it's just such a blessing. And then I would say the second thing is just doing things way before you are ready or know what you're doing, because it's so easy to just want to wait and say, when I feel more confident or when I feel like I know what I'm doing, I'll do it. But you just will never feel that way. And I'm sure you guys have all heard similar advice to this before, but it really is so true. You just kind of have to do things with no idea what you're doing because that's how you learn how to do them. And so I feel like that's another thing that has helped us to have the good team that we have is when we have decided to start new things that everyone's unfamiliar with, I feel like transparency has helped us to just keep our team the way it is and just be successful because I am so upfront when I tell them I have no clue what I'm doing. Like, we might try this and we're just going to crash and burn, or this might be the best thing we ever did. But, like, if you feel like it's chaotic, I probably feel the same way. And if things are frustrating you, they're frustrating me. But, like, come talk to me. We'll get through it. And so I feel like just doing things when you don't even know what you're doing, honestly. And being willing to just try things. Because I think a lot of people are like, I don't want to try it because it's risky. Well, guess what? Starting a business is risky. So if you started a business, that was the greatest risk you could have taken. And so you got to be willing to take more risks along the way because that's really how you find success.
I think, too, a lot of times you feel alone in it, but there's usually, you can find somebody out there that's willing to talk you through it, that they've been through something similar, and they can kind of help you work through some of those challenges as well.
Yes, for sure.
People willing to give back that way through mentorship. So, as you're always learning and adapting and continuing on to things, I know right now you're transitioning some of more decor and what you're doing with that. So whether it's that or something else, what are some projects you're working on right now, or what's next for you at this stage?
Yeah, so I feel like every area of my life has a project right now. With Ganached, it's definitely our winter shipping. We are gearing up to have a crazy winter shipping season. And I think the only reason we're able to do that is because we have such good established systems set in place for our store and then for our event team and then just for catering and things like that, where we're not having to put as much of our focus into those anymore. Those systems are up and running. There's people who are working on those and it's their job and they do an amazing job. And so we can focus on other things. And so that's the big project for Ganached is winter shipping. Time to shake our hips because we're getting on TikTok this season. But we're really excited about it. It's going to be awesome. And then I guess this little secret, no, it's not a secret. We do want to open our second store. So we're really getting serious about opening Ganached number 2. Won't be in Cedar City, but within the next year, we hope to be like really to the point that we're opening a new store. So that's the background focus. And then with More Decor, I did e-commerce for 5 years, and then I decided to take the whole company digital because I am just one person and I just didn't have the bandwidth, and you can't pour so much effort into a million different things or you won't be successful. That was my piece of advice from the beginning. I had to take my own hard advice this year. But it's been so good. So my company just sells digital downloads. And the cool thing about More Decor is, so we work with all custom sugar cookie decorators, and it's not quite the same as having a storefront bakery, but they are still bakers. A lot of them are cottage bakers. A lot of them are baking for, like, it is a source of income for them or for their families. And so what's really cool is I am building a program right now that shows my clients from my other company how to build multiple streams of income for their businesses the same way that we did it for Ganached. So it's kind of like my baby of my 2 worlds. And I'm really excited about it because it's going to be awesome. And honestly, like, I'm so much more passionate about this new direction than I ever was about making the cookie decorating products. And I think you just gotta follow your heart. At the end of the day, it was just, again, like desire. I just really didn't want to do that anymore, but I didn't want to throw away the whole company, 5 years worth of building something just down the drain. But I'm like, I know I can shift this and like make this something that is just gonna light me up and just get my fire going, and that I'm gonna be so excited about. And like this program is definitely it. I'm so excited about it. It's like my real life experience put into a program for all of these clients I've been working with for years and years and years who I love. So that's my big project for More Decor and the Ganached. Yeah. I need to finish my chicken coop. That's my personal life project.
Awesome. No, I love that though, just that you're always, I mean, even back to that question of always changing or pivoting, adapting, like always kind of finding new opportunities where now you're using the experience from both businesses to almost create another business or transition.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm pregnant. I guess that's a huge project right now. Yes, I'm 20 weeks pregnant, so that's another big project in the making.
How old is your daughter? She's like...
Oh, she's 2. If y'all have been hearing her, oh, finally she got taken out.
So yeah, you have your hands full, but it shows that you can still be successful when you're raising a family, you're involved in different things, you have a lot going on, but you still prioritize your time. I'm sure time management is a huge part of your success as well.
Yeah, my daughter's a trooper, you guys. She comes to work with me all the time. She loves it. I honestly think, like, you really can. Like, I don't want to say you can do it all because nobody can do everything. But you just got to have people on your team who are just going to stick by you and really help you and who can adopt your vision and work with you. And that makes all the difference. Like, my husband is amazing. My mom's amazing. 3 of my sisters work at Ganached, if you guys have been to Ganached. And so I have so much family around me just helping me through all of this, and then just so many good people in our lives that have stepped up and just really made such a huge difference. So I really think that's, at the end of the day, that's everything, because they help keep it all going. Without them, it wouldn't be possible, honestly. So
yeah, that's awesome. Well, we have a few minutes left, and I try and come up with questions that I feel like people from the audience would want to know, but we like to open up time at the end as well, where you can ask her questions. So we've got about 7 minutes or so, we'll open it up to anybody in the audience that has any questions for Mirryn.
yeah.
Hey, Mirryn. Ginger and I are huge fans, and thanks for giving back to our entrepreneurial programs. Have you ever, I want to know, how have you protected your secret sauce?
That's a good question. I wish I could show you guys a video of this, or you guys could see this. So our literal secret sauce, which is our brownie recipe, I feel like I have to tell you guys this first. So my mother is very particular about her secret recipe. And if you've had our brownies, which you guys probably all did today, it's not a traditional brownie. Like it's got a different consistency. But my sisters and I actually make pre-made brownie mix for our bakers, because we don't bake. My mom's obviously in Vegas and I don't bake in the store. We have a team of people that bake, but we pre-make our brownie mixes. We'll do it hundreds at a time. And then our bakers, when they go to bake our brownie, it's like making a box brownie. They just gotta add eggs and butter and maybe a couple other things depending on the flavor, but it's literally a box brownie. So we have literally protected our literal secret sauce by setting up our bakery that way. That's one thing. Our bakers don't even know the recipe for our brownies, which is crazy. And this is something like, if any of you have experience with bulk dry ingredient packaging, I can't do this forever. So right now, this is what we're doing. I want to say we have more secrets, but at the same time, and specifically you, Steve, are probably going to be like, Mirryn, this is not good. But I feel like any other thing that I have done that has made me successful, like, I want to share it with other people. Like, there's really not that much that we have kept secret. And so any of like our marketing tactics or processes or anything like that we feel like this has changed the game for us for the better, I probably should keep some of it secret, but I just can't. It's helped us so much that I want other people to benefit from the success. And at the end of the day, I know they can't make my brownie. So I feel like I'm okay to share the rest. Hopefully that answers the question. Also, I'm your biggest fan too.
Okay, great question. Other questions?
So,
Layla first.
okay. So I'm curious because you mentioned in the beginning about quitting the jobs to focus on the business. How soon after did you start to notice that decision paying off? What did that timeline look like?
So about 3 months after I quit all my jobs is when I finally was making what I was making at my jobs. So 3 months of like sitting down and focusing on it. And it was also like right when I went into business school, because I had no idea what I was doing with More Decor. I truly had no idea. I did so many things wrong, so many things that I cringe at looking back. But yeah, it was about 3 months till I replaced my income. And then I don't know if Brandon would remember. It was about 18 months from when I started the business that then his income was able to be replaced also. So then we could work together. So yeah, it was not overnight. It probably seems like 18 months. It seems like overnight to some people, but it was lots of long, hard days.
But it's faster than a lot of other businesses.
Yeah.
3 months to replace your own. Yeah, that's faster than a lot of businesses. So, yeah, good question though.
Thank you.
Sarah, did you have one?
What was your biggest challenge in deciding to actually quit the job and go and say, you know what, like, this is gonna be the biggest obstacle that I see myself undergoing with trying to just pursue business?
Yeah. So I actually had a physical thing that pushed me over the edge to quit my jobs. So when I took my gap semester, it automatically made me ineligible for my job at SUU, but I was still working full-time in healthcare. And Brandon and I had planned an anniversary trip, and leading up to the trip is when I feel like everything was starting to happen. Like my SUU job ended, my business was really starting to get a little bit busier, and I was getting closer to school starting. And so I remember we went on this trip, and like right before, I totally broke out in hives, like my whole body. And I have never had any kind of skin issue or reaction or anything in my life. And so I was like, what is happening to me? I was having everyone check on me at work. I'm like, give me like an answer. Do I need medicine? What's happening? And everyone was like, you just seem like you're really stressed. Like, is something stressing you out? And I'm like, no. And then I remember Brandon and I just talking on this trip for a long time. I'm just covered in hives, itching all over the place on our anniversary trip. Just like, what do I do? And he's like, okay, we just need to like talk through your life. Cause obviously like there's some conflict going on. And I just like, I felt like I could feel the tension starting with not wanting to go back to nursing school, wanting to stay in like on this path that I was on with my business, but also realizing I worked so hard to get into nursing school. I retook classes, I've been in school, I've been working in healthcare, like I can't just throw all this away. And so there's just this conflict where I was like, you know what, if my physical body is producing a reaction to this stress, like I feel like that's a sign that I need to make a change. And so it was so tough. Dropping out of nursing school was so hard because at the end of the day, I was like, I know I would have loved being a nurse. Like I loved the nursing program at SUU. The people there are amazing. I loved my job in healthcare, but I'm like, you know what? I can't go my whole life thinking that there's going to be something out there that I would love even more than this. And so at the end of the day, once I thought of that, I'm like, I just got to make the hard decision. And honestly, I can't say there was ever a point when the decision became easier. Like it didn't. It was hard all the way up until it was made. The nursing program emailed me back when I said I was dropping out and asked me, are you sure? Do you want time to think about this? And I said, don't give me any time. Call an alternate right now so I can't go back on this decision because it was so tough. And so I don't feel like there was anything that made it easier, but definitely breaking out in hives was like the help to push me over the edge.
For one more, you speak highly of working with your family, but I know that family and business don't always work well together. So are there things that you do to protect your relationship between the two?
Yeah. So you're right, first of all. It has been hard because specifically with my mom and I think one of the blessings is we love the company so much, but like we can't be together without it turning into work. And it's great because we love it. But at the same time, like I told her, and I'm still telling her to this day, I'm like, we need to take a Ganached cruise to be anti-Ganached, where we can have no one calling us and no access to internet. So it is like super tough to keep a boundary, but specifically with my sisters, this sounds so funny and simple, but it really is true. I just have to straight up tell my sisters, okay, I'm talking to you right now as your sister, or I'm talking to you right now as your manager, because it is hard. And sometimes, like, I don't want my siblings to get the wrong idea and think, you would never say this to another employee, or you would never say this to your sibling, but like, I'm in a different role when I'm saying that. Like, I'm not super harsh, I still love you, you're my sister, I'm not saying this to you, like, I'm talking as boss right now, you know what I mean? And then vice versa too, like, I have to say, hey, I'm telling you this as my sister, I'm talking to you about this as my sister, not as somebody that you work with. So it sounds so silly, but I feel like even just making the differentiation when I interact with my family and saying like, okay, this is work stuff versus like, this has nothing to do with work, this is just family stuff. And like really just putting my foot down and saying like, I don't want there to be any way for you to misinterpret this or feel like, yeah, it's not what it isn't, I guess. But I don't know, I hope that answers the question. I also feel like just doing my best to treat my family like my coworkers at work and then like my family outside of work, if that makes sense, because it's so easy to have it be so blurry and get mixed up and want to be sisterly at work. But the reality is, yeah, I can't say something to my sister that I would say to her as her sister in front of another person at work. And so it's tough. And I feel like we have all gone through hard times of like being frustrated with each other and feeling like I can't say no because I'm the family. I have to step up and help. Like if my sister needs help, I have to go help her. Or if I need help, they have to come help me because they're family. And so I feel like everyone has just kind of had to set their own personal boundaries when it's come to that. Because there have been frustrations, I feel like, from everybody working together as a family. But for the most part, we really all get along and it's a blessing. Like we really are lucky. Like we have a good situation. But
You haven't had to fire any of your sisters?
actually, only one. But it's okay. Still love her. We're the best. It was more firing from a sister standpoint. I'm like, you gotta focus on what you love. You know what I mean? But yeah, so only one.